still entertaining people who have defected. People who have crossed over. People who have betrayed the struggle. By now, there should have been a by-election ongoing in Kisumu for the Senate. By now, we should be having a by-election in Langata. People are saying you don't have the ruthlessness. This struggle requires some level of ruthlessness. And it is not that there is no shortage of people who can lead in those constituencies. Bondo constituencies are sure bets. What are we waiting with that? Baba, you need some level of ruthlessness in this struggle. Because if people are aiming to kill you, why not kill them first? That is what the struggle is about. I'm glad to see my colleagues, Kenya University Students Organization. I want to tell you, I'm the founder chairman of the Kenya University Students Organization. And when we were founding it in 1995, some of us were expelled. Then we became clever. We say, if you are thrown out through the door, find a way of coming back through the window. So when we went to the Register of Societies, we said, you in particular, we know you are notorious. You have been expelled. You are not a student. We went and registered in a driving school and came back and say, now you see, we are students in a driving school. Those are some of the creativity that we need. Asanteni sana.
Vijana munataka nani? Baba. Na wazee munataka nani? Baba. Hadi wa mama munataka nani?
Sisi ni wa baba. I hope my brother Suba will not mind me sharing the following. I want to share with Baba two things about Suba as he greets him. So Brother Suba introduced himself as an activist. But at the end, he also indicated that he was a founder, student leader of the university. But even more importantly, he is now the national coordinator of civil society reference group. He was out of town when he heard this session was on. By his own pressure and the pressure of those he represents, he traveled overnight to be here today. So, Kevin, please, you're the second last person, so let's make it precise. And I have reserved the last chance in this session, the last chance, to those men and women who are in the front line represented by MDD. Yes.
I'll be taking you on. Been holding on for so long. I've been waiting. Time for the real time.
Kwanza kabisa ningependa kutambua wale viongozi wa rende la Azimio ambao wako hapa, viongozi wetu ambao pia ni viongozi wa vyama vya kisiasa. Ninaona hapa wamejaa, wamefurika furifuri. Viongozi wetu ambao wamechaguliwa kutoka katika bunge zetu za juu na pia za gatuzi, na muona spika wetu wa Nairobi Bwana Ngondi pia ako hapa. Viongozi wa sekta mbalimbali wa Kenya wenzangu, mabibi na mabwana, hamujambo? Bwana Yesu Kristo asifiwe. Salamu alaikum. So I want to begin by really appreciating the organizers of this session who considered it wise and very thoughtful to have conversations from Kenyans around the ongoings in their country. When we received this phone call that came to us yesterday evening, we were very glad because this really is an exercise of Article 1 of the Constitution of Kenya that gives sovereign power to the people. In addition to that, we have very many legislative proposals that support public participation. So we have come here in very big and huge numbers to participate. And if a similar call comes from Kenya Kwanza, we will as well attend and make our voice to count. I am speaking on behalf of an organization called County Governance Watch, whose sole purpose is to watch over devolved governments of Kenya, really by presenting proposals and recommendations that strengthen and enhance devolution in the counties. In addition to this, we engage a lot in issues around leadership and governance. And so elections, peace and security really form the core of the work that we do. And so in the Middle East, we have organizations that are from, let me say, across the country, because beyond County Governance Watch, we engage with a network called the Peace Actors Forum that is represented by Madam Leah Kimathi. I think she's seated somewhere there. And also stakeholders from Madare, Kibra, and other informal settlements that we engage with. They have sent me here with a 4-page document that I am not going to read, but I want to summarize it in brief. The first issue is, of course, taking note of the fact that our elections are necessarily standing as a trigger for violence, crisis, and dilemma. And this is happening because, as a country, we have failed to really look at the far greater challenges that the country is facing. And so if you look at very many platforms that have been presented to us, very many conversations that have taken place in this country, there are lots of unfinished businesses. And that is why, even as we stand in this very non-partisan platform, we want to appreciate Baba. Because I keep telling people that if Baba told us that kulikuwa na mamluki pahali, na kuna watu walikataa, na akasema nimewaona wameingia na mlango huu, na msipowazuia na kuwaziba, watatoka na mlango hii ingine. After a few weeks, what happened? The faces of the Mamlukis tulionyeshwa, waliangazwa. If Baba says that there is an issue with this server, if Baba says that there is an issue with this server, si basi tutaweka server pia wawe mamluki. Na baadaye kutakuwa na sehemu na pahali ambapo ukweli wa huo server utajulikana. And so we take note of processes such as the Kenya National Dialogue and Reconciliation processes of 2008 that raised issues. 4 among those issues: constitutional and legal institutional reforms, land reforms, tackling poverty and inequality, tackling unemployment, especially among young people, and of course cross-cutting issues such as consolidating national cohesion and unity while addressing transparency, accountability, and impunity. As a network and an agency, we are convinced that the political process that we currently have, especially bordering on largely the reasons why we are here, focus on humiliating competitors, critics, and those who do not agree with the views, rather than building consensus and strategies for solving our country's issues. So we take note of progressive processes that have taken place to try and deal with some of those concerns, but we are also convinced that the people, the economy, eradication of suffering and promoting dignity are not a preserve of politics and therefore of governments. Progressive voices have to be given their place at those particular tables. And that is why, beyond the Agenda 4 issues, the 3 concerns that I have raised are concerns that are bedeviling Kenyans today. Consequently, And despite being detailed in past review processes, including the Kenya and NEPAD APRM process reports, the Justice Waki and Krigler commissions, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission reports, the Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission TJRC report that of course led to the 2007-2008 Kenya National Dialogue and Reconciliation process, the Vision 2030 document itself, and much more closely, we take note of progress and regress that have been made, that were made in the 2017 Joint Parliamentary Select Committee. And one agenda that not so many of us have talked about here today is the Building Bridges to Unity process that was quashed by our courts. These, ladies and gentlemen, are opportunities that give us the privilege, therefore, to make progressive steps that give us platforms to be able to exercise progressive aspects that therefore address the conflicts and the challenges that Kenyans are facing. The second broad conceptual challenge that we submit to Azimio today is the increasing feeling of hopelessness among the citizenry due to being disempowered and indeed the lack of organizing, lack of an objective and consistent voices among the citizen groups. Must it be the Right Honorable Raila Odinga who will stand between the injustices that Kenyans are facing and the progressive steps that Kenyans require from their governments? The answer is no. And therefore we are hoping that in all these additional processes that are being undertaken, including the latest, which is the bipartisan process, that this degree of helplessness that Kenyans are facing is going to be addressed, and that it is neither the Right Honorable Raila Odinga and his fellow leaders and the government, but that Kenyans will begin to have the conscious thinking and understanding that we have a responsibility that has been given to us by our Constitution to exercise certain sovereignty. Therefore, in finishing, what are our 6 proposals to Azimio and to the bipartisan committee? Number 1, we are proposing that we need to restructure the executive to dignify and institutionalize the opposition to perform its oversight role effectively within a presidential system. Now, this memorandum explains the pros and cons of a presidential system, the benefits that Kenya has been able to accrue between the presidential and even the parliamentary system that we enjoyed its stint a few years ago. The Constitution of Kenya, therefore, provides that elections, as Suba Churchill rightfully said, will be held every 5 years. But it also establishes an electoral management body, otherwise called the IEBC, Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. The mandate and the functions of that commission is to conduct free, fair, transparent and accountable elections for Kenyans. In exercise of that mandate, Kenyans vote for 6 positions that, of course, interest different contestants. Going by past electoral experiences, we have been told that winning the presidency means getting everything and losing everything if you lose and fail to become the president. This is happening both at the national level, regional levels, county levels, but even at an individual level. When you run for president, like the 4 candidates who ran for office and did not lose it, where do we take you to? What does that mean for us as a people? And therefore we are proposing that we need to begin to have a conversation as candid as is possible to review this structure that therefore will be able to open up certain spaces for us to be able to look at how we can be able to strengthen accountability, transparency, and indeed integrity of various agencies. The second issue that we are raising, devolution. So strengthening devolution, institutional performance, and governance. We have seen, and as a network, we have undertaken an analysis of the promises that were made by both Azimio la Umoja and also Kenya Kwanza on devolution and the benefits that would be that would accrue to Kenyans with this. we are sorry to say that Kenya Kwanza government has failed to live by the dreams of Kenyans and the prospects that have been given to us through the Constitution of Kenya insofar as devolution is concerned. And therefore we are proposing that, one, funds that have been contained by the national government that are supposed to go to county governments be released, and that the bipartisan process that has been proposed begins to have a candid conversation around how we can be able to forestall the challenges that come with the division of revenue allocation. This goes beyond just Parliament, but also looking at the various constitutional commissions and also the functions as are detailed in Schedule 4 Schedule 4 of our Constitution of Kenya that basically narrates the functions of both national and county governments. Why are we saying this? We say this because we have also noted a trend at which the national government, particularly the Kenya Kwanza government, is stifling devolution, not just because of judiciary mechanisms and concerns, but indeed even regaining and reclaiming functions that are supposed to be done by county governments, and they are currently being both financed and executed and implemented by national government. If we fail to do this, ladies and gentlemen, therefore what will happen? For the first time, as one of my former speakers has said, we are noticing a trend where public servants have not been paid. County governments, various service delivery sectors have actually threatened to go on strike. Are we saying that it is the demonstrations that are going to get us back to the drawing and talking table? The answer is both yes and no. Why? Because we have to exert pressure. So there are people who will exert that pressure. And we also have to have conversations that are progressive and transformational. As I head towards finishing, the third issue is bringing a closure to the 2017 and 2022 general elections and making elections credible, accountable, and acceptable. We are here because we have been given data. What does this data mean to you? And I want to echo the words of Suva Churchill because they are also indicated in this memorandum. Article 35 of the Constitution gives any citizen of the Republic of Kenya the right of access to information held by the state. If we fail to exercise that right and not waiting for Baba Mheshimiwa Right Honorable Raila Odinga, we want to see as many petitions to institutions of government pushing for opening up of the servers. It doesn't have to be Raila Odinga. As an individual, you can do a petition. As a network of family members, you can do a petition. And so beyond this meeting, I am requesting us to go out there and seek for petitions, letters, and questions that will ensure that if the server has the answer to what ails Kenya today, let the servers be opened. We have been told that there is no mechanism. There is a mechanism in Article 35. But if we fail to exercise that right, what will we be doing? Let's go back to the voter turnout of 2022 elections. More than 10 million plus people did not vote. Young people, particularly 8.4 million, didn't turn up to vote. If we fail to strengthen reasons as to why Kenyans go to an election, 2027 might not even attract a 34% voter turnout. Why? Because Kenyans will ask the question, what does my vote mean? And so we are also asking that question. What does waking up early in the morning mean to us? What does it mean to our government in office? Let us exercise our sovereign power, ladies and gentlemen, to push for implementation of Article 35 and Article 38 of the Constitution that gives power to people for universal suffrage on elections. Because failure to exercise that power, the young people of the generation that are following up to Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga will not wake up to go and vote. That means that there may be no elections in 2027. Lastly, cost of living. How many of us have 100 shillings in our pockets? Kenyans are crying. We want food. And it is the responsibility of any government that calls itself a caring government to provide mechanisms, stable environments, and opportunities for people of all cadre, whether elders, young people, persons with disability, the youth, women, children, to find food to eat. Children want to go to school. We are asking the government to exercise its power to make cost of living affordable, achievable for the majority of Kenyans. I thank you so much for listening to me on behalf of the people who sent me here. God bless you, God bless Kenya, and God bless Azimio. Asanteni.
Thank you very much, Kevin. I was not rushing him, but because Kevin has a written memorandum, I'm sure we'll be happy to receive the memorandum and process it, but continue to engage with you and your national network. Now, we have come to the end. Is there a representative of MDD here? Oh, he's here. We were waiting. We said we are going to give you the last loud intervention at this stage because you are on the front line of Mapambano. Karibu.
Freedom, my people, freedom. Freedom, my people, freedom. You know, my name's Eliud Opan. And as Malcolm X says, by every means necessary. I operate closely with MDD, but I'm the chairman of the Ordinary People's Movement. And I had to take this chance, and for sure you cannot now stop me. During the French Revolution, one Jean said, when the poor will be left with nothing more to eat, they will come for the rich. As the ordinary, we've come this close, I can assure you. And I want to tell you, with Baba being our general, as the ordinary citizens, this is what the ordinary people are saying. We took note when you were told negotiations were commencing. Baba, that very week, Dr. Ruto called you my brother. The second week, his deputy, without chills, called you ordinary. Baba, if you're not going to let us go to the streets as you continue with the negotiations, what will they do the third week? I can tell you, Baba, the ordinary people want to be in the streets because that is the only platform we have a chance to enjoy our rights. And I want to remind everybody, and this is biblical, in Galatians 6:9, for those of us who are in struggle and at times get weary, Galatians 6:9 reminds you, don't be weary of doing good, for in the right time and in due time, if you don't give up, you will assuredly get the reward. God bless you very much. And may God take care of you and part of you as we go through our struggle. Thank you.
Thank you, Sana. Sasa, to finish that, we need to appreciate them with that manyunyu kidogo. So quickly, manyunyu. Moshi. Manyunyu yamekuwa mvua. Mvua hiyo inaongezeka. Nyingi sana. Radi! Asanteni sana. Now, with your kind permission, we are going to request His Excellency Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka to make a few comments and a few observations, because he's going to represent the leadership in a commitment that one of them has to go and attend to. So, Your Excellency.
Thank you. This is not an occasion today for the Buffalo Soldier. We came to listen to our brothers and sisters from the civil society. Kwa hivyo naomba niwasalimie. Hamjambo. Civil society, hoye. Azimio, hoye. Asanteni. I do not have to make an apology because it doesn't matter at what stage one may speak. But I know that the keynote reflections will be made by our brother Raila Odinga. And I know our sister mother may want to actually farm it on provisions of Article 35 of our Constitution, the right to information. And I know that as Kenyans, we are concerned about the state, not only of the economy, but the state of the nation of Kenya today. I made a remark over the weekend to which Dr. Ruto replied quickly. When I said I've been in government for quite a time, can't remember when, any time, I cannot remember at any given time when the Kenya government was unable to pay its workers. And government is the largest employer. At the time when we had the Grand Coalition government, and Ndugu Raila will remember, and Mother, we as an economy would raise 97% of our budget. In fact, this is the one country that has not relied heavily on borrowings from either IMF or whatever, Bretton Woods, to be able to finance our recurrent expenditure. Therefore, when at the level of the head of state, somebody at that level begins to argue that you cannot borrow in order to finance the recurrent expenditure, this is seriously misleading the country. I want therefore to suggest, and allow me to continue with the journey after this, that Sunday in Kamukunji we will be going back to the People's Baraza. Here they are a little afraid as to why we would want to go back to Kamukunji. We have to report progress. I repeat that those who have read a book by the title A Man for All Seasons, you remember, I think Suba, you may have read it. The main character, one of the characters, is the Attorney General of the United Kingdom, that is Thomas More. And he said that in the thickest of the law, he was a forester. I have this sense, because I've been in negotiations in the region, and of course in our own country, that Kenya Kwanza, let me be respectful to them today, are not serious about this dialogue. They clearly are not. And I think out of this consultative forum, the resolutions that will come out, need to call them out. Yeah, you can always know when somebody is serious. How do you prefix dialogue with the denial in the first place? Denial that this is it, we are not on it, and we can only discuss IEBC reconstitution. That's what makes me think they are not serious about dialogue. I agree with Gaucho. Gaucho said, the ghetto president, he said, these people, if they don't want, there's no dialogue they want. And I want to give him a negotiating principle. Ndugu Gaucho, are you in the house? The ghetto president is right there. You find this applicable to Kenya Kwanza. If you cannot dazzle them, dazzling, you can't dazzle them with brilliance, then baffle them with bullshit. These guys may think they're bullshitting us, but I think we'll give them the bullshit. I'm sorry to use that four-letter word. It comes to a time must come when you must call a spade a spade. Either they are serious about this, or they are not. But even if they are not, They need to recognize Kenyans have equal rights, and that you cannot sit on my rights and pretend you are doing me a favor. Therefore, the right to demonstrate, I think Mama Mumbi did it very well on Article 1. We've been quoting Article 37 clearly. I saw Kithure Kindiki making attempt in Parliament, which is actually even constitutional, because either you go back to the provisions of BBI, which made it possible for ministers. We were suggesting the ministers can come from outside and from Parliament, some of them members of Parliament, in order to deal with question time on the floor of the House. Now they're trying to do it through the window. I think, Churchill, they must have learned their tricks on how to become a student. You go to a driving school. That's what they have done. Go to a driving school in order to get them on the floor of the House. But be that as it may, Kithure Kindiki says the police did not have express orders to fire live bullets at demonstrations. Something tells me he's not an insider. Something is telling me Kithure Kindiki doesn't know. We want him then to tell the country, why is it that an attempt, a deliberate attempt, was made on the life of Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga when we did the demonstrations in Embakasi South? Deliberate. Where was a young man I mentored called Kithure Kindiki? So when he comes to Parliament and makes it look so good, he's sanitizing a regime that has already shown they are willing to spill blood, even of the leadership in this country. If it wasn't that Raila Odinga's vehicle was armored, we would be talking a different story. Therefore, from this forum, please join me in demanding a thorough investigation on that attempt on the life of Raila Odinga. Otherwise, it will be casual. We are talking about men and women who don't care about shedding blood. And if they had knocked out Raila Odinga, and the assumption is people will demonstrate for 1 week, for 2 weeks, and they will forget. I think now they know when it comes to demonstrations, Kenyans have a sense of resilience. I agree with others who have said that we should, as we negotiate, if we find there is no good faith, and we said that. I think in the statement that our brother Oparanya issued on our behalf, we have made it clear, if we see evidence of no good faith, as indeed is clearly demonstrable from their own actions and utterances at every level, then the Kenyans have a right to go back to the streets. But imagine taking out Raila Odinga. Would we be thinking about this country? And have we stopped to calculate at whatever level? You assassins, we address you and your financiers. Have you tried to calculate even whether it will be safe for you to call Kenya your homeland? Therefore, we must stand strong. We must stand strong. We cannot be cowed. We love this country beyond what these people can imagine. We have no other place to call home. Kwa hivyo nawashukuruni sana. Remember, Gaucho, if you can't dazzle them with brilliance, then baffle them. Baffle them with bullshit. May God bless you and bless our country.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for those sobering thoughts. I would like us to negotiate. You know, we are saying we are saying that we are people who reason together. Many things have been said by our brothers and sisters who have come on this stage. This is a time when we are supposed to open plenary. Baba and the leadership team that is here have very patiently sat for the last 3 hours listening to us. So I would like to negotiate with you and say, we go a maximum of half an hour, and we divide that half an hour between us and the leadership, so that we give 10 minutes to someone who has a very burning issue. Please don't raise any matter that has already been raised. You have a very burning issue. Please address it, and then give Baba and the leadership team 20 minutes. So a maximum of 30 minutes. Is that acceptable? Is that acceptable? So just come. I'd already recognized you. Please don't use the mic yet. Just come. Switch it off, please. So you are number one, and we'd like to be very brief. The second person would be someone who represents youth and persons with disability. She's called Wanja Maina Hana. If you put up your hand, somebody will bring a mic to you. Please bring a mic. Please give them that mic. I'll give you mine. Yeah? So Hana, you'll be number 2. Mzee Nyandika, can I see your hand? Yeah, so Mzee Nyandika is here as an elder. We haven't had the elders speak. So I'll take 3 more from the audience by a show of hands. 2 here and 1 up there. So 2 here. Yes, the lady. 1. I'm looking. Yes, elder. Up there, 1 person. Yes, sister. Come down. Okay? Could you, all of you, come here? So you give a mic to each other, and we take precisely 10 minutes. But they want Mzee to see them. You want Mzee to see you? Yeah, so we could either speak down there or up here. So number 1, brother, precise, very brief.
Your Excellency, Your Excellencies, Honorable Baba Raila Amolo Odinga, Mama Martha Wangari Karua, waheshimiwa, ndugu zangu, mabibi na mabwana, hamjambo? Jambo la kwanza, ningependa tu kuchukua fursa hii kueleza nyinyi wa Kenya vitu viwili peke yake. Ya kwanza, ningeomba mkumbuke mwaka wa 1990. There was a country called Romania. It had a president called Ceausescu and Mrs. Ceausescu. They were put on firing squad. You know why? Because of what is happening in Kenya today. So let us not take this country as a joke. We have children. We have grandchildren. We don't want to leave them on fire. Ladies and gentlemen, I am asking you, Baba, look at us. We are helpless. Tunakuja maandamano alafu tunakutana na watu wako na risasi. Hiyo sio maandamano. Turuhusiwe pia sisi tubebe zetu. Tukutane na wao ndio wajue sisi ni wanaume pia. We do not want jokes anymore in Kenya. Gentlemen, I will remind you about Rwanda, our country, our neighboring country here. A plane was shot down. It had Abariamana and Uliengiamana. They were from here, Nairobi, doing negotiation for peace. My friend, 1 million people died. Is that what you want to see in this republic? Alafu mtu anakuja kusema ati Raila anataka handshake. Raila anataka handshake ya nani? Tulimpatia kura na ameshinda. Tunataka handshake ya nani? Open the motherfucker. Sasa ndio mtajua tumeshinda hii kura.
Asante sana.
Wanaosimia mjambo, nitasema mambo machache ambayo hayajasemwa hapa. Nataka niwakumbushe wa Kenya Hiyo ndio serikali imewahi kukusanya pesa kushinda serikali yoyote tumewahi kuwa naye since independence. Kodi ile natolewa ni hali ya juu zaidi. Pesa hizo mahali zinaenda hatujui. Ya pili, ni vile wamepeana kazi. Mimi nasangaa hapa mbele, baba, unatupenda sana sisi kama Wakisii. Hakuna Mkisii hapa hata mmoja. Na kuna wengine walikuwa kwa koti yako za yote. Hata wanakuamuza asubuhi kwa nyumba yako. I'm very bitter about that. We must go to the drawing board. Wengine wanasukuma, wengine ambao ni viongozi tunaona mbele. Mimi vile niko hivi. Nimeitwa mikono mingi na Wakisii wale wanaenda kugonga kwa milango ya Ruto wafunguliwe wapewe pesa. Nimesema sitaenda. Na baba, wacha nikuambie. Sijui kama kuna serikali. Sijui, sielewi. Mimi sielewi. Makosa yale Ruto amefanya na serikali yake within this very short time. Sijui kama inaweza kurekebishwa namna gani. Distribution of jobs amempa watu ya njia ile namna ya kuponya pesa. Hata muangalie kabisa na hiyo ni wakumbuze. Kikuyu anapewa minister, PS ni mtu yake. Nao ndio watu wanaanza serikali. If it means incitement, let it be. Anapewa pande hii account ni mtu yake. Pesa inaingia na kuchomolewa, hatutavumilia na badari. Nashukuru sasa, nataka nikupe kiongozi baba kutoka Kisii. Kaa na hii kijana Ogeto, nilimwona hapa. Hata kama kwa sababu tuna wabunge. Kaa na msichana yule ambaye ulinominate ambaye nominated MP. Irene Mayaka. Wabunge ambao wamechaguliwa na tiketi yako. Wacha kuwa na huruma sana. You are my friend. If there is a friend of yours, the true friend, ni mimi. Wacha nikuambia huruma, wacha. Amwafoto Burangata. Utunyima mbunge ambaye tungechagua ukatupatia sarakasi. Core election there. Mimi ni mfuata Burangata. Sitaki kuongea mengi. Nafikiria nimekumbuza na yale machache ambayo nimekuwa naye ningeongea mengi. Lakini ngine nitakuuliza papo kidogo tu. Asante.
Asante mzee Nyandika. Nipeane mwelekeo kidogo tu. Kwanza walio sehemu. Asante mzee Nyandika. Utamsalimia unapoteremka chini. Tafadhali. Unaweza kupitia hapa umsalimie. Asante mzee Nyandika. Tumpigie mzee Nyandika makofi. Sisi ambao tuko upande huu tuko na nafasi pale juu. Yeyote anajiunga nasi aelekee juu. Na vijana ambao tunatembea, hii ni awamu muhimu sana. Na mwisho hapa, kindly if you can, one issue, alafu unaketi. I think the lady perhaps, kindly. Asante. Endelea.
Thank you very much. All protocols observed. Nataka kusalimia baba tena. Wakati ambayo nilimsalimia mwisho tulikuwa Nakuru. The last time niliongea na baba tulikuwa University of Nairobi, an alumni, na baba alikuwa atupe 6,000. Na hiyo 6,000 ilikuwa ikuje the first week of the month. Kwa hivyo kama hawange tufanyia vipindi, saa hii ningekuwa na 4,000 imebaki kwa sababu alikuwa amesema 6. Alafu hiyo ingine tunapeleka weekend. Baba, I'm the national chairperson of people with disabilities in Jubilee. Kuna hii issue ya cost of living. Na kwa sababu in your wisdom, I wish you tie it to the issue of social protection. Kwa sababu hiyo issue ya cost of living, it really affects people who are at the bottom of the pyramid. Na hiyo social protection, it delays, haikuji, inapelekwa funny, and if it can be added, we can solve this issue for once and for all, because we are as strong as our weakest link. Issue ya pili, ni mambo niongea moja lakini nitaongea mbili, ni hiyo issue ya IEBC. Hiyo issue ya IEBC iko na mambo mengi ndani yake, including vituko na vipindi ambayo IEBC wamekuwa wakifanyia people with disabilities ambao wanataka kukuwa nominated in county assemblies and in national assemblies. Issue 2 ndani ya IEBC ni voter apathy ya mavijana. And that is why sisi tumekuwa request baba, please make it to be all inclusive, because our issues are very many na hatuwezi miss chance ya kuongelelea hiyo maneno. Number 3 and lastly, tungependa kuambia baba is that people have been really requesting to join the maandamano. I was there. Ni vile tu niliona tear gas ilikuwa mingi, but we really want to go to the maandamano. So make the maandamano safe and then we shall come back. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. May God bless you. Karibu mzee.
Okay. Asante sana. Your Excellency, Right Honorable Odinga, Mother Karua, Honorable Malwa. Kwa majina mimi naitwa Joseph Ngeno. I'm Azimio Chairman, Bomet County. I've come here to also show solidarity with the people of Kenya with this fight for social justice. And I'm just here because my issue is only one. Maybe I'm going to spare one issue. But the problems that the people of this country are going through are the same. People in Bomet, people in Mandera, Mombasa, Busia are experiencing the same problems. Kama hii shida ya mshahara, for example, I'm a retired civil servant, mimi sijalipwa, ingawa mimi natoka huko upande huko ambao watu wanaweza fikiria wanapata special treatment. So I'm saying that we have people in all parts of this country who are with you, Baba, and people in solidarity for this fight. We are also saying that with respect to the server, we know that if you said you want, the best thing would be open it so that everybody can see. Otherwise, I just want to give you salamu kutoka Bomet. Asante sana, Mungu bariki.
Asante mzee. Karibu.
Thank you so much. My name is Hannington Oguk, the Kuso Nyanza coordinator and the president emeritus, Meru University. Comrades power! Comrades viva! I'm here specifically for one thing, the issue on comrades. We know very well Baba is the fourth arm of government. And so being a government, it means you have everything. So I'm going to request Baba, because it is a government. Baba is a government. Baba, students in this country who are the next leaders in this country are really going through hard times. The specific one is students are being traumatized. We have institutions whereby students are being subjected into punishment, suspensions, and expulsion. But because you are a government, I'm requesting, let us have part of the judiciary that only listen to the cases raised by the comrades. Comrades power! Just the same way we have the juvenile courts. Because right now, to a point that the other day you had students who are having the candle lighting, condoling with our fellows who were involved in accident. You find that as students being subjected to a suspension or to an expulsion just for doing such a thing. So many students have been sent home. Baba, let's have, may we have, I'm requesting, may we have part of the judiciary that only listen to the cases of the students. As you witnessed what happened in Mary University sometimes back, when the vice chancellor was being taken away, we stood firm and we ensured that he was reinstated. And we want to thank God for that. But some of us were almost being taken home for fighting for what is right. Now, how will we help Kenya if almost those students who have the right, who have the voice, are being taken home? So that was my request. Thank you so much.
Thank you, comrade. Mzee.
Amjabo. Kwa majina mimi naitwa Wambogo na nataka kwanza kushukuru Baba kwa yale amefanyia hii nchi. Nakumbuka wakati mmoja 1989 nilikuwa nafanya kazi pahali kunaitwa Comcraft. Baba nikienda kazini alikuwa natoka hapo kwa Ministry of Foreign Affairs asubuhi mapema, tukaweviana hivi haja kama hakuwa ananijua. Alafu jioni alikuwa na imesainiwa na mtu alikuwa anaitwa Cabinet Justice Ole Tipes. Sasa tangu wakati huo mimi nimesimama na Baba na nimekuwa nikimfuatilia. Nimekuwa nikipigwa na watu nikiwaambia hata 2013 mimi natoka Udhaya na nataka kuambia wana youth haza nyinyi Kimathi wakati yalienda msituni alikuwa in his 20 years na nyinyi sasa Baba anataka kumkabidhi hii nchi na tukimfuata kwa sababu wako na maono ya nchi, na kwambia tutatoboa. Youth, mujikakamue, tufuate baba, na najua ako na maono mazuri kwa nchi yetu, na niko na furaha kwa kuona Wairia na ndugu yangu Kioni. Hawa wametoka from their comfort zone, na sisi tumesema pia tutawafuata kwa sababu tumeona yale mambo inaendelea.